Second most important thing where robot scored over laparoscopy is this patient. You have this patient high BM, we know endometrium, diabetes, hypertension, obesity syndrome. So when you have this patient, what are the options available for us? Option number 1, do vaginal hysterectomy, no adnexal removal, no lymph node, unlikely to be cured. Option number 2, you just go above the pannus and then try to do. Once you go above the pannus, you know what will happen to the pelvic exposure, what will happen to the wound. Third option is you say I will go below the pannus, pelvis is good, para-aortic is not addressed. This was looked up in the trial by Seaman, who compared high BMI index patient, and he found that heavier patient had the best outcome in robot than laparoscopy or even open when you do that. This is where this particular thing scored up, and with fewer blood transfusion and early discharge. This was a prospective randomized trial which we did with Ethics Board Apollo, and we have published in Springer comparing open and robotic. One of the important thing about the robot is the blood loss will be in the tune of 20 ml. You can go and see all the structures in pelvis which you have not seen, anatomy revisited. You can see that is the femoral canal which I will show now, obturator now, accessory obturator vessels, superior gluteal artery, iliolumbar trunk of the nerve, and you can see the third arm how it allows you to handle the vessel. You can go down, that is the iliolumbar trunk of sciatic, sacroiliac foramen, and you can see deep circumflex iliac vein. What you see is a two-dimensional view. When you operate, it's a three-dimensional view. So under the ureter, fantastic lymph node clearance with very, very minimal blood loss, and most of the patients go home next day. So this is what a technology helps you to do what you would do in open in a better way, and the patient can go home early. And we found in our trial, which we have published, it is there for everybody to read, it's a randomized trial, that para-aortic lymph node yield was very high in this, and we had a zero conversion rate in this particular thing, which means we didn't take a easy case and do that. This is a case, a patient was herself a gynecologist who had endometrial CA, had a laparoscopic hysterectomy lymph node dissection, para-aortic was not addressed, and one pelvic node was positive. When they sent for radiation, they found these positive nodes in the para-aortic area, and unless you remove it, it's an intention palliation. Then I went back and put the robot, and you can see that lymph nodes matted mass is adherent to the vena cava and aorta, and with this technology I could clear all of them. It is not the robot which made us do this. I knew that if there is a complication, there is a puncture in the vena cava, the suturing, the management, 3 arms of robot will make me manage the complication. So the safety factor you have in you to manage is most important. So if you see back in the cervical cancer, way back in 1990, Carnes actually did that, and then Abu Rustam followed it up, but certain Ablers are the one who proved laparoscopic type 3 radical hysterectomy is no inferior, and at this moment open, laparoscopy, robot, all three are same as far as cervical cancer type 3 radical parametrectomy is concerned, with minimal invasive benefit in laparoscopy and this. So when you do a case, parametrectomy is the toughest in cervical cancer. Because of the huge magnification, developing of paravesical space and pararectal space, going down, taking that ureteric tunnel properly, preserving a vascularized structure. You can see small vessels going into the ureter because of an end artery. You have to preserve that not to have fistula. Not compromising helps. So at this moment, if you see where the evidence sits, in cervical cancer, open, laparoscopy, robot, all three is same. None of them is superior as far as disease management is concerned, but laparoscopy and robot add equal minimal invasive nature, patient can go home next day. Where robot scores over laparoscopy in cervical cancer is radical nerve preserving. Because of magnification, better energy source, able to do a nerve preserving. Okabayashi's technique of nerve preserving radical hysterectomy is far simpler, easy, and outcome is good in robotic. This is not a problem in our country because radical trachelectomy is you have a cervical cancer lady and she has not married, which is quite often in Western countries, or they have multiple partners, their marriage goes off, second time they marriage, even at the age of 30, 40, 50, they want to have a child. Then you do a fertility preserving radical trachelectomy. You all know that in laparoscopy it is so tough to do, most of the people opt perineal route, but this is one case where transabdominal you can do with robot, preserve the uterine arteries and then keep it very well. Ovarian cancer, I have a bias. I never believe laparoscopy is going to cure a patient of ovarian cancer in advanced. We should not do that, not recommended. Ovarian cancer patient has one chance to cure. Please don't do that. Other than putting a scope to see a staging, whether I can do optimal site reduction, okay. Somebody has done a THBSO and coincidentally in a pelvic confined cyst you find to have a ovarian CA, no disease in the abdomen, ovary cyst is removed, then for staging you can go back. Otherwise, with an intact ovarian disease in the pelvis advanced, you should not do that because ovarian cancer is optimal site reduction. The whole peritonectomy should be done. You should not rupture the ovary. If you touch and rupture the ovary, patient lose the chance of ovarian fertility preservation. Recurrence is very high. Even in stage 1, you rupture chemo is required. So in CA ovary, other than these 3 points, you should not use. However, I came across these fantastic reports which are small case studies which showed. This is what I always say. For CA ovary advanced, single port, single incision, open surgery is the best. Neither laparoscopic nor robotic. Please think about this. But it's very important. I am in my last 2 minutes which I am going to conclude now.